Hey guys, just wanted to help you out with a couple problems from homework tonight. There's all different ways that the book can present information to you when constructing a frequency table. So I wanted to go over the two that you're going to see in the homework. The one that we did in the video lesson starts it from scratch. Like if they just gave you a list of numbers and they just said construct a frequency table, then you would follow the steps that we did within our video lesson. But these ones are kind of help you out a little because they give you some extra information on how they want you to start your table. So instead of having to go through the first couple steps that we showed in the video, it's kind of like they've already begun the table for you. So when you get to number 1A, so what they're asking you for is you make this frequency table, but they're starting you with the classes already. So they're saying your first class is going to go from 218 to 220. Next class, they want you to go from 221 to 223, and then this one, and then you just continue on as far as you need to go. And you'll know when to stop by when you've covered the biggest number in the list. So as I look at these numbers, I'm trying to spot the biggest number real quick. I see 245. That might be the biggest one in there. I think it is. So if 245 is the biggest number, then you would just continue on with these classes until you have created a class that would cover the biggest value within the list. Okay, and then you can fill in the numbers and everything else just the way, and the histogram just the way that we showed in the video. When you get to something like number 2, this guy's a little different because of all the decimals. These numbers are super straightforward because they're integers, right? So those are much easier to place within classes. It doesn't matter if there's a space between 223 and 224 because there's no decimals in here. So you wouldn't have a number that fell into this space anyway. But when you get into decimals like this, and I'm creating these classes, now I do have to consider the gaps in between. And so on this one, they're saying, and I'm going to help draw this out here, and I'll switch you over to my paper. I'm writing it while I'm talking here. So the first one they want you to do is going to go from 1.1 to 1.2. But you'll notice they're using a bracket on the left and a parenthesis on the right. So if you haven't seen that notation before, the bracket means you're including this number. The parenthesis means you would go all the way up to this number, but you would not include the 1.2. As soon as you hit 1.2, you are now into the next class, right? So this one would contain from 1.1 all the way to 1.199999999's on forever, right? So every value up to 1.2. But again, once you hit 1.2, now you would be into the next class. Okay, and so I'm just writing this here as I'm talking. So I have the 1.2 to 1.3. And again, that means you are starting with values of 1.2, and it goes from 1.2 all the way up to 1.3, but does not include 1.3. And then from there, once you get to 1.3, you are now into the third class, and that's going to go to 1.4. And again, you're going to continue this until you've gone far enough to cover whatever the biggest number in the list is. So it looks like 2.06. I'm skimming really quick to see if I see any bigger than that. I think 2.06 is the biggest one. At least that's what I'm seeing. So as I carry on this chart, I'm going to keep going. So the next one would start at 1.4 and go all the way up to 1.5, and then again keep going until you have gotten to the case where you are looking at, let's see, if I want to cover 2.06, then I need to go from 2.0 all the way up to 2.1. Right. So as you fill in the rest of these values, I think this should be your last class, and so then it would cover the highest number in the list, right? And then you need to go through the chart and fill in how many fit within each group. The same thing that you're going to do here, same thing that I did within the notes. So as I look at something like 1.33, I can see that would fit within this class right here. Okay, and so you just kind of go through, chalk up all the numbers, and then you can make the histogram to follow. So hopefully that helps. Please let me know if there's any issues with that. Remember that if you do this before our Zoom lesson like you're supposed to, then you can always ask additional questions during our Zoom. So